Commence primary ignition.
Hey, this is Katie O'Brien, and you're watching the Virtual Cantina Network.
Hey, everybody.
Hello. Welcome to our special presentation of Daughters of the Galaxy.
And we have a very, very special show with a very, very special guest this week. We are so excited to have with us today the amazing Diana Lee Inosanto, Morgan Elsbeth herself. Thank you.
It's so wonderful to see you. We're so thrilled to have you here. What an honor.
I'm so thrilled to be here too, you guys. I love this. And I love the title, Daughters of the Galaxy. I love this. I love this. I love this.
Yeah, they came up with it. I mean, everybody is somebody's daughter, right? There's such a variety of characters and stories and backgrounds, but we're all somebody's daughter. So we thought it was a nice title. Yeah.
That's right. You know, I mean, I'm just thinking like when I first saw Star, because I'm much older than you guys. When I first saw Star Wars, I was with my dad, and this was a daughter-father bonding moment.
I was hoping, I'm sure you've shared it before, but it's such a cool story. I was hoping you'd share your details a little bit about your Star Wars origin story.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, everybody was, wondering what's this movie called Star Wars, and it wasn't called A New Hope back then. It was just Star Wars. That's the way they marketed it back then. I was a little girl, and my dad was doing this international martial arts seminar in Aspen, Colorado, which really wasn't the Aspen of today. It was much more kind of almost like a small town kind of feel.
Of the 70s,
yeah, right, exactly. And so after his martial arts camp was done, everybody was going. There was one theater, I believe, in the entire town of Aspen at that time. And everybody was like, well, let's go see this movie called Star Wars, right? And lines were just going around the block. And when we got in, the theater was packed. I mean, packed. And nobody knew what to expect, really. I mean, you could only wonder based on the commercials back then. But once the movie started with the credits, on the scroll, you're like, the crowd just started going crazy. And then the effects, right, with the Star Destroyer coming in, and nobody, I mean, this defied anybody's imagination. And you have to remember to see that for the first time. I mean, today we're kind of spoiled because of, CGI.
Well, we were raised on it, we just thought it was normal. Yeah.
But for me as a child and everybody else in that room, and you had multiple generations of people in that theater, it was like a rock concert, and it was magical. And I had not experienced that level of excitement until actually I went to a Star Wars celebration. That's when that feeling came back again.
Oh, that's what we like to hear.
And it was just magical. And because by the time the movie hadn't even ended yet, like when you have Luke Skywalker ready to, use the Force and destroy the Star, the Death Star, it was, people were standing up. Really? People were just shouting. And so for me to have this moment with my family, with my dad, with his martial arts students in the community of Aspen, Colorado at that time, it was incredible. But what was really unique is afterwards, the conversations we would have, because, it's kind of funny. Can you imagine the lightsabers? What if you could have a fight scene with 2 lightsabers? Because that was his forte, being a martial artist. And so months later, around Christmas time, he would purchase, by that time, these plastic lightsabers that it was really more of a flashlight with a long tube. But and he would train me in martial arts using these plastic lightsabers. And he used
Oh,
2
no
of them
way.
because, particularly in
Fabulous.
martial arts, it's very common sometimes to train with 2 weapons. And
Mm.
it's so ironic, and it foreshadows, in a weird, unique way, this fight scene I would do, decades later, with Rosario coming at me with 2 lightsabers. And I started thinking about that when I was on the set of The Mandalorian. I'm going, oh my gosh.
I knew all the way back then. He knew.
Yeah, just so deja vu, and for me, in addition to just training with, make believe lightsabers, I thank goodness, my forte is weaponry. So also I was very familiar with spear work, and it's amazing that that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau would give me the honor of being able to, have a character that would execute the Beskar spear,
Yes.
and the idea that Beskar could be a weapon against and going up against the lightsaber. I just thought that just blows my mind away.
Really, it was such an
A
emotional.
villain use a spear yet in
Yeah.
Star Wars. So
Yeah.
that was groundbreaking for me to see. Like, you have this incredibly, like, we know, like, upon seeing your character Morgan Elsbeth in this scene, that she is a badass and she is a force to be reckoned with. She's running this whole town.
Right.
That spear is just like her symbol of strength and
Yeah.
enforcement, and just to have her go up against
Yeah.
Ahsoka Tano and the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Like,
crazy. I mean, and the fact that it's a Beskar spear, that's conceptually was still, I think, I don't know if people really were, at that point really resonated that much about the idea that something could go opposite of the lightsaber until they and the rest of the Lucasfilm team started creating this universe. And it was such an honor. I mean, even when one of my first days visiting a set, I got to meet Pedro, which is unusual, and it was so beautiful that Dave would allow me and afford me this opportunity to sit in a room with Pedro, and we can go over the scenes, because that way Pedro's voice, his tone, his pauses were in my head when we were going over the script. And some of it was cut down, because you got to find that rhythm. And I just, in my mind, I think I was having this out of body experience. I'm like, I'm with Pedro.
He has such a distinctive voice too,
Yeah.
I mean, that's wonderful.
And it was such a gift to just see his approach as we were doing this reading with Dave, and to just find those moments. And I'm just so grateful. And then, of course, on the set, Pedro wasn't there at the time. That's when Brendan Wayne came into play. And for people who don't know who Brendan Wayne is the grandson of John Wayne, who is a legend in Hollywood. And we are dear friends. I call him my big brother.
Really?
Or maybe I'm his big sister. I don't know. Anyway, but we're dear friends.
Siblings.
Our families. And we bonded right away. And people don't realize that, like, when I'm doing that scene on the bridge with Brendan as Mando, he is reciting the lines to me. He also has the responsibility of learning all of Pedro's lines and giving me these lines back, and with the same sort of cues, and exploring whatever other cues that Dave may need to have.
So you get the timing down, but
because in the end, it does come down to the editing and how Dave will see the scene in the final end. So it's just been it has been an incredible journey. It really has, to learn this creative process.
I understand Brendan might have had a bit of trouble with the spear, having it get caught on his cape. Did that happen to you when you were practicing?
Yeah, all the time. Even the pants, the hakama, the pants. It's so much fabric, and even when you have any kind of fans blowing, it's weird when you're trying to even spin the spear, because it gets caught sometimes in the fabric. You're trying to be really cool, but
yes. Okay. That's
so
wonderful.
your godfather, of course, is the legendary Bruce Lee, and your father is the incredible martial arts stuntman Don Inosanto.
Yep. Dan
Inosanto. I apologize. He brought you up in this world where you learned martial arts, not only you know, how it affects your day-to-day life. But for possibility of a future career, did you ever imagine that you would be um, going back into Star Wars and using what you've learned from these two important men in your life to bring martial arts and stunt work into a new generation of people?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I never the weird thing is I used to always visualize me doing a fight scene with a Jedi, and I just figured that was just childlike wonder because I love Star Wars so
Sure,
much.
we all did it. We all did it.
Yeah, but I would visualize, and I could see fight scenes in my head growing up as a child, even in my even in my adult years. I always just pondered, like, yeah, can you imagine if I could just be in the Star Wars? And I would daydream of this all the time. Not even daydream, I would really see it. And so it's weird how that life would unfold in this way by fate, the threads of fate. I love that line now, but that I would inevitably be in this position to actually be in the Star Wars universe, and that I would be given this honor and responsibility, because when Lucasfilm casts you, they are trusting you to be almost like an ambassador with this universe, with this franchise, and I take it very seriously. And yeah, I never would have, in literal sense, ever imagined. And because it came so later for me in life, because I've been pursuing this industry since I was 18, 19. And I never could get any breaks, and that's one of the reasons why in my younger years, because of my martial arts ability, I had to be I actually became a stunt woman, but I was always an actress. People didn't know how to cast me. And there weren't a lot of roles that fit my type. And so really the stunt world became my my education to how the Hollywood system really works. And I would take that opportunity to learn every facet of a set. And I would treat it like this was my education, because years later, I would decide, as I was aging out as a stunt woman, to try to do what my godfather did and write, direct, co-produce with my husband and my manager, and then star in my own independent feature film, which was called The Sensei. And that's how Lucasfilm found me.
Oh my gosh. So you came full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was scary. It's very scary to take this journey when you have little money. The film we did for, I believe it was like, when we did the production itself, when we were filming, it was like only $250,000, and that's very small on film, which is very expensive. We weren't even entering the digital age yet. We were just starting to tap it because it still had that video looking feeling. And I decided to shoot Super 16, and I was, it's just, it's a leap of faith. It's a calculated leap of faith, but it's definitely a leap of faith. And I had such great people around me, and it was more of a serious picture. It wasn't like a typical action film. It did have dramatic essence to it, because I was trying to tackle some very serious issues about our world. And at that time, I was writing about a woman living in a small town in Colorado during the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s, who decides to take a gay teenager on as a bullied gay teenager as her pupil and student. And look at my journey now. It's been amazing.
Oh, that's wonderful. Gosh.
Thank you.
Absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I was just going to say, I was reading a little bit about when Lucasfilm was looking for someone to play the magistrate. And I wondered if you wanted to share, if you have any interesting tidbits about what it was like when you finally connected with Filoni and Favreau and was offered the job. I mean, you have a history with Star Wars, but how familiar were you with this Ahsoka storyline?
Well, Ahsoka I was familiar with, and the reason why is, thank goodness, because of my children. because
Me too.
I was always a fan of Star Wars, right? So even when Dave Filoni would do the Clone Wars movie, there was no TV show yet. Do you remember that the animation series?
The
I was
micro
a
series,
diehard fan. I said I am going to go see the Clone Wars. Star
We
Wars.
bought the DVDs.
Yeah,
We still have them. Yeah.
Kids to go to the theater. I remember I had a stroller. I put Zachary in it. I had Sebastian. Let's go. We're going to see it. Okay, Mom was there. I was in for the full ride. You know?
Yes.
I'm Team Star Wars. I don't care if it's animation or books
I
or whatever.
love animation. Yeah.
And so I loved it. And then when the animation came out, I think I pondered upon Rebels, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I loved Hera, I loved Ahsoka, and so I came across more Rebels first before.
Same.
Rebels is our favorite. Rebels is our favorite.
Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I got to go back, because when you're a mom, you're kind of sort of watching the TV, you're doing the dishes, and you're like, oh, this is good, So yeah, but when I got the call from Mandalorian, let me share that. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a cruel joke that somebody somehow, my dear friend and manager, Tarek Heitman, called me because I couldn't get a break. Listen, even with the Sensei, it took another 10 years before I would be discovered.
Wow.
Because that movie came out during the Great Recession. And I'm like, wow, I didn't make any money, but it was kind of out there, floating.
Yeah,
The
terrible
trailer
timing.
was floating around. And I just kind of had to just accept, that I did my best in Hollywood. And I guess, I can be proud that I got a movie out there and just live my life as a martial arts teacher.
Sure.
So when I got a call from Tarek, he's a huge diehard Star Wars fan too.
Yeah.
I thought he was first pulling my leg. I thought he was joking. And then he kept on with it. I go, okay, this is getting stupid. Would you knock it off? This is actually kind of mean now that you're telling me I have an audition. No, and he goes, they know who you are. The producers know who you are. I'm like, I know nobody on The Mandalorian. What are you talking about? I have, that's impossible,
Right.
Yeah. And he goes, look, I vetted it. I believe it to be legit. And they want you to sign this NDA. Because when you audition, you must sign an NDA.
Yes.
And I thought, and I looked at the paper, I'm like, this is serious. This feels real. And I go, oh my God, this is real. And the hard part was my husband couldn't read lines with me because you can't tell anybody. So the only person I had to read lines with was my son with autism. And thank goodness the script is disguised. So you would never know in a million years that you are auditioning for the Star Wars universe.
Right.
And we were going, thank goodness, because repetitions and all that patterns don't bother him. And he's just like, la, 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 la. And that I had 3 days to be prepared. I was a little sick. I didn't care. And I just day and night, I was going over this till it was a part of me. I was doing research on what I could apply to this. I had, thank goodness, stage training. So I kind of felt intuitively that I could apply like a mid-Atlantic or British accent to this, because I was noticing a pattern. I definitely picked up she was going to be the villain. And I went in, auditioned. By the way, I meditated to stay calm because trust me, I was such a nervous. Right. You have to understand, I love Star Wars so much. I honestly didn't know if I had a shot at all of being cast for anything. And I thought it might be just like a stunt acting gig, but I thought at least I'm going to prove to them I'm a real actress and that I can act. That's my goal. And I went in there and I was at Sarah Finn's office. I auditioned, did my part. I was in there for 20 minutes which was unusual. I knew it was long.
Yeah.
And I walked out of there and I cried again because the honor of just auditioning for this universe. I was so happy. And I just thought, okay, I did my part. And I kind of just thought, well, I'm proud of myself. I felt good with my performance, but they might be looking at tons of other people. So you can imagine how stunned I was when I'm standing in the middle of a tile shop. And my manager calls me and they're like, you got the job. I'm like, what? Yeah. Whoa. I screamed in the tile shop. And yet I couldn't tell anybody what I was screaming about because I'm under an NDA, but I'm like, this isn't happening. But then I don't know what I'm doing. They never told me who I was. And,
Sure.
and that's kind of how it all happened. And then it would
How
be
long did you have to wait before you found out? I mean, was it months? Was it a long time before?
I
Oh,
think
wow.
it was about a month, because you have to remember there was Thanksgiving, there were breaks in between.
Right.
Then all of a sudden I got this call out of the blue, like, come to the set. They want you to maybe potentially work out choreography with Rosario. And I'm like, Rosario, and I'm like, what? And again, I don't even know my name is Morgan. I want you people to understand that. I just know I'm supposed to be some maybe mean,
vaguely threatening person.
yeah, right. And I know nothing about this universe. I know nothing about the storyline. Nothing. It is a blank canvas for me. And so I go to the set, and the first person to greet me was Jon Favreau. I want to cry about this. It was Jon Favreau to greet me.
Wow.
But I'll never forget, because I had this this is how broke I was. I had this purse, and it broke in front of him, and all my stuff came spilling out, and he had this look like,
No.
I'm thinking, oh my God, is he really thinking now at this point, like, oh, we should not have casted her,
No. That's the worst. It happens to all of us. We've all been there.
Right?
We've all been there.
So kind, and he took me on a tour of the whole place, the volume, and he walked me straight up to Dave Filoni. That was my first time meeting Dave.
Aww,
and meanwhile, I'm in shock, and Dave was there. And then I see Robert Rodriguez walking up behind him. And then I'm in this sphere. I'm in this bubble with Robert Rodriguez, Dave Filoni, and Jon Favreau. And Robert didn't know me from, I had been a guest on his network show called Man of Arms. And he's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, and in my mind, I want to say, I have no idea.
I don't know.
But, I at least knew who Robert's son was, who was Rebel, which is awesome. But he walks away, and Dave goes, I'm sure you're wondering how we found you. And then that's how he explained that he and Jon needed to find an actress or martial artist who could hopefully act. And he goes, I did my search on Google, put woman martial artist, and up came the trailer to my movie, The Sensei, that I did
girl.
earlier. That's how they found me.
Fabulous.
Google.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a story. That's like a fan story for the ages there. Like, it's really impressive.
And you can't lose. And here's the thing, how there's that theme of never losing hope, right? There really is something to that. And I don't mean to sound woo-woo by any means, but
we like woo-woo.
You like woo-woo? Okay, great. Because I believe in woo-woo sometimes, but the fact that I was 53 years old when I was cast for Mandalorian is a miracle.
That makes me so happy. Yeah. I mean, after everything that you went through and struggled with in your career and earning recognition while you were in Hollywood, we hear that from so many other people of color and women and what they struggle with. And that's, something we really like to talk about on this show, is that it's about time. People like you are getting their just recognition. You've worked so hard and for so long. And to have it be this kind of character, this character that was just stunning. I mean, you just blew everybody away when you.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad I kept in shape and kept my martial arts, being a teacher and stuff. But and I had been involved with on the side, because I thought if I can't work in Hollywood, I can still enjoy the craft of acting. So I was involved with a theater company, which also kept me flowing with the acting chops. But
wonderful.
But I didn't even imagine in a million years that I could be called later in life after you, because I'm sure you've read articles that most women, once they reach 40, they're always in danger of slipping off the cliff as far as role opportunities,
especially in Hollywood.
Especially in Hollywood, right? But I always had hope, because there are examples like Viola Davis, Sharon Jackson was another one that made it later in life. Robert Downey Jr., not Robert Downey Jr., excuse me, Rodney Dangerfield, the comedian. So, I mean, there are those examples of people that were able to overcome ageism. So it happened to me. I'm the late bloomer, and it happened. So
and it did. And what a fabulous character. I have to admit, Ashley knows this about me. I struggle with villains. I really do. I'm much more of a bright side, light side Jedi kind of fan.
Right.
But this character of Morgan Elsbeth, she was just, I like to say, she just kind of knocked the wind out of me a little bit.
There was an elegance to her that
Oh,
he brought through. Even
and a
though it was
fierceness.
clear
Yeah.
she was wicked, she
Yeah.
had elegance,
Calm.
and she was precise, and she was calculated, and it all came through in your performance.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
Very
You're
intimidating. Very
Yeah,
intimidating.
but that
Like, I was pretty sure there were more episodes of Mandalorian, so I didn't think anything was actually going to happen to Din Djarin, but I still had the emotional reaction of, ooh, like I had nerves. I was worried.
yeah, no, and I listen. I'm so grateful that Mandalorian was able to kick off the way it did and create almost another demographic of fans that maybe weren't going to the movies, because you think about, you have the gaming world, you have, which Cameron Manhun has been amazing and holding the interest of the gaming world, right? Excuse my voice, but I know people now, when I do Comic Cons, they say, oh, well, one of the first questions, because I always interview people that come and visit my booth, I go, I want to know what brought you to the Star Wars universe. And I asked them, some of them said it was the movies, but I am amazed. Some of them say it was Mandalorian,
Yes. My dad would have loved this series. He would have absolutely loved it right off the bat. Yeah.
The Mandalorian, thank goodness, has spawned all these amazing shows, from everything from Andor, Skeleton Crew, Obi-Wan. I mean, and as of course Ahsoka, which I didn't know at the time. But when Rosario and I were doing the fight scene, and not just the fight scene, just that episode, that would be a deciding factor whether or not we could possibly even have an Ahsoka show. I didn't know that at the time.
I'm glad you didn't. I would find that very nerve-wracking.
Well, I would too. I absolutely am glad that I didn't know that. And then it was challenging enough when George Lucas came and visited our set, and he had to watch Rosario and I do our fight scene. I'm like,
girl.
Oh man. Oh boy.
Oh my gosh, there's George Lucas, there's Kathleen Kennedy. They just are visiting the set.
That's a credit to you. I mean, you just kept calm and carried on.
Yeah,
remarkable.
You have that out of body experience where you're just like, I can't believe this is really happening. And John was such a gentleman, because he was introducing me to George, and then George was so amazing about talking about what inspired him, Kurosawa especially. And we were talking about how Kurosawa approached his fight scenes, and George loves that whole snap and that whole Japanese kind of approach and presentation to doing fight scenes. And I'm like, I just like, yes sir, I'm gonna just do everything I can, because I want to make George proud of, and of course Dave Filoni, because Dave is the one putting his faith in me and Rosario, and I want Rosario to be happy. So I think
you did. I think you did. So. It was my favorite episode. I got a hand-drawn print made of that's the only Ahsoka episode that I wanted to. Yeah, I did.
And Rosario has just kicked it out of the ballpark. I mean, she's just so amazing. She looks so beautiful, the way they did her make. I want to say her hair, but the whole presentation of how they did Ahsoka, she looks incredible, and she
really won me over. I mean, I have to admit, I was like you, that I had watched this character grow, and I was so nervous. I love animation so much, and so this whole transition to live action really made me nervous. And boy, she, like you said,
right.
She hit it out of the park. I mean, she won me over hardcore, and now I am like massive top tier fan level. Like, it just, And I think you had a huge hand in that. I really did. You were such an excellent foil for these characters.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's awesome working with the Empire.
Now, when you walked onto the set and you saw straight out of a samurai film what everything was presented, like the bridge, the courtyard, the little pond underneath it, did you feel like you had kind of stepped into your own version of a martial arts film and like?
Yeah, let me tell you, I mean, and that's a testament to the set designers and the team that's controlling the volume. And I want you to think of this almost like an orchestra of music, all right? And everybody has their instrument, everybody has their role in this. And so it is, and think of Dave as the conductor. Okay. And so for them to be able to work, because the volume moves depending on where Dave's going to shoot, or any director, whoever is given their particular episode, right? Sure. So it is this beautiful symphony of people coming together. Yeah. And it just blew my mind away, because I was witnessing the beginning, the pioneering of this great technology. Mm-hmm. And that's where John also had his hand in all this. So the team is incredible, and how they approach creating the Lucasfilm family, from all those grips, from all the electricians, from all the, like, it really is incredible how they have been able to bring this all together. And then here I am, I feel like the opera singer, being able to play in this on this stage with all these elements. But yeah, when you're in there, you feel like you are in this other world. And it
wasn't distracting for you? You were able to find yourself immersed in it?
Now the performance, it really does. It enhances the performance, because you really are now in this world. I'm thinking of Tron, like you're in this video game. You are, I love it. The analogy I think of, and it was beautiful. The set that they created, just stunning, and yeah.
So when did you find out that you were going to be back on Ahsoka? Like, how were you told about that?
So you had to remember, when I shot my episode of Mandalorian, it was right before COVID hit, like the lockdown. Like I would say, I'm guessing, but about 3 to 4 weeks before, boom. So we were lucky that we got it in the can.
Yeah.
We were so lucky that we got this in the can. And then it was really hard for me mentally, because it almost feels like a dream. And then I'm expected to keep this a secret, because I could not talk to anybody. I never told my dad, my mom, no one in my family knew other than my husband. And then my manager, Tarek Heitman, and my entertainment attorney. That's it. Those were the only souls in the world that knew that I was going to be coming out in Star Wars Mandalorian.
What a mind trip. What a mind trip. And then be stuck in COVID lockdown. And
right, with my 2 kids, trying to get through high school. And then of course my son, who was in a day pro, we were just cut off from everything. So it is a mind trip. And all I could do is just count the days. But when the night that it aired, it was beautiful, because it happened to be the anniversary of my godfather's birthday, and it was Thanksgiving. It was really weird, the timing of it all. And, we didn't get to have a red carpet, but I tell you what was beautiful for me, and what was healing for me, was seeing the magical reaction of all the fans, like people like you, just writing about this, being on their podcast. I'm like, oh, this is like medicine for my soul, because I really wanted people to enjoy it, and to see that in this horrible time of the pandemic, it was really taking people away to a galaxy far, far away. And in that particular season, when you get to the end, with Skywalker, I just thought, thank you, universe, that I get to be part of the magic of Star Wars, and that we're happy and excited.
I wasn't sure at the end of that Mandalorian episode whether we were going to get any more Morgan Elsbeth.
Yeah, I know. Right. I didn't know either, and I didn't even know my name was Morgan Elsbeth until the night it aired. So
they never even told you the name of the character. No. Oh my goodness! No way.
That's so Lucasfilm. Wow. I knew there was a hint that I was that I was a Night Sister, but I didn't know what that would mean. Okay. Like I didn't know they would say that in the show. I didn't, because I didn't have the full script either, by the way, guys.
Right.
So I didn't know. Yeah, I had no understanding where this was going, but I was just writing the whole tsunami of joy and people's excitement. And but I was hoping that maybe there might be a chance. When I realized the show wasn't indicating that I was a Night Sister, I'm like, and so you asked about like when I knew. I believe it took a good several months later that I got a call that maybe I would be on a show called Ahsoka. And ironically, again, this is so ironic because the pandemic, people were businesses were starting to open up the doors. I was at Disneyland of all things with my family and wearing a mask, and all of a sudden I got a call from my manager, like, guess what? And I'm like, what? And they're like, there's going to be an Ahsoka show. I'm like, ah! What does that mean? And then he's like, they want you. I'm like, ah! I started crying, and I couldn't say anything, but it was amazing. Yeah, so it's just a lot of magic happening.
Literally the happiest place on earth.
Yeah,
literally
the happiest place on earth. Yeah,
Definitely for you that time.
Yeah. So
you believed him that time.
Yeah.
Was it a joke? Was it a joke?
Yeah, I did. I believed my manager at that time.
Oh, good.
And I cried again. I'm such a crybaby.
Oh, girl, I would have too. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, no, that seems like a perfectly valid reaction to something like this. You know, a lifelong dream. That's good.
Supposed to be strong and tough, and I'm crying.
Healthy. It's positive, healthy, emotional expression. It's a good thing.
Yeah. So
I think they would have been more concerned if you were like, "Oh, cool, thanks."
Yeah, right. And it would take a while before we could get the wheels turning again, because again, it was the pandemic, and so I kept putting off the schedule, and I kept thinking, God, is this really going to happen? But finally it did. I believe we started filming in 2022, but it was weird this time because even our readings, we were in person, like I had with Pedro, for instance, was by Zoom, but in a weird way, we were able to kind of bond with each other. And that's where all of a sudden I'm meeting Mary and Ivana, and Ray was alive and he was there with us. And then a couple of the readings, I remember Hayden being there, and you were there for that, Ashley, because I met Hayden. I would have met Hayden the same time that I would have met you at Chicago at CTE. Isn't that funny?
That was such a good weekend. I was like, oh my God, Diana Lee Inosanto's here. I have to go say hi. She was so awesome in The Mandalorian. And then Hayden's here too. Like, did you guys must have known at that point that you were both working on Ahsoka? No clue? Oh my gosh.
No, I remember that was on the heels of doing Mandalorian. I had no clue. And I was meeting Hayden for the first time at that C2E2 where I met you. And I met Giancarlo for the first time.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And I think we were all pondering, what's going on? Do you think?
Why are we all here?
It's possible, but, of course, they never tell us anything, that's part of the, actually, I do think there's a beauty to that, and it's a good thing. So when Hayden realized that I was on the show, I think it was when I had to go in for one rehearsal to get the choreography or be introduced to the choreography. And Hayden's like, yes, you're here, Oh my gosh. Yeah. So
How fun is that?
Yeah.
So when did you start keeping a journal about Morgan? I understand that was something that you did to kind of help you process the character's journey. Did you do that with Ahsoka, or was that with Tales?
I did that. Oh, okay. Great question. So I actually started early on, just from my training, creating an understanding. And I piggybacked a little bit on my own stage training, because one time I played, it was a very unorthodox theater company I was with called Lodestone Theater Ensemble. So one time for this one workshop that we were prepping for, I played Julius Caesar. Can you believe that?
Sure. They do it in Shakespeare all the time.
Right. So there is something Shakespearean-like to Star Wars if you really look at it. So I was able to piggyback on that work and then look at other characters like Catherine the Great and all this. And so, I started writing things, but more important, I started looking at Timothy Zahn's work. Because when I knew they were mentioning Thrawn at the end of my scene with Rosario, I knew that whoever is in Thrawn's universe, they would have probably certain characteristics, and that Morgan might have those same characteristics. That's why Thrawn would allow them to be in his world. And so Timothy's work was really, really important to me. And then later on for Ahsoka, the work of Anne Convery. Do you know who she is?
And I love her.
Yes.
Friend.
Bug, right? Which was about Dathomirian culture. And so her work became important to me to understand the culture and how the women were in this world. And so all of that was a gift to me to prep me for Morgan. And then Tells of the Empire again was another secret that Dave sort of kind of said, hey, we're going to do this animation, but he didn't go into details.
Sure.
So I didn't know if it was just going to be, I'm on for a few seconds and then I walk away. I had no idea they were going to dedicate, out of the 6 episodes, 3 of them to Morgan's background. Never knew that. So that's all, again, the beauty of Dave Filoni and his team working out this background to Morgan and how she had a very traumatic background, and it explains why she became wired the way she was brilliantly. So
it was really kind of traumatic to watch. I can't imagine what it must have been like for an actual character to go through that, because just as an audience member, I felt like I had to watch between my fingers. I was
right.
like,
Well, you think about it. I think what was fascinating, it's very yin and yang, Morgan Elsbeth and Ahsoka. If you think about it, these both, when they were both young, they saw some horrible events. Think about this.
In the same
death. Yeah. And yet you get to see how, because Ahsoka could have easily maybe gone a different direction, maybe, right? Maybe, especially when being ousted by the Jedi and being falsely accused. And for anybody that hasn't seen the Clone Wars, I'm so sorry if I'm blowing this. But and yet she didn't. She stayed this certain path and course, and whereas Morgan went this other way. So it's amazing the paths and the choices an individual can take, depending, you can let it. Are you going to let it destroy and eat you up, or are you going to continue to rise above that and evolve and expand like Ahsoka does? And so that's what I think is amazing about these characters that Dave Filoni has created, and I think serve as a warning and also as inspiration.
Yes, I would agree. That was very well put. That is yeah. Yeah, we're all in sync here. We've talked about this on Daughters of the Galaxy before, so we love hearing you come in and share a little bit about it. I guess, Ashley, is it okay if I jump in here with my other question?
Sure, go ahead.
I think it's kind of getting ahead of it, but hopefully, if you've not seen the more full Morgan Elsbeth storyline, we encourage you to go ahead. But during our conversation the last time we talked about this, we have all kinds of fan theories, as we do, about the end of Morgan's story when we get to the end of the Ahsoka series, the first season. She makes it to Peridia, and she meets 3 great mothers. She rescues Thrawn. She builds this fantastic intergalactic vessel. She accomplishes all these things, and so we were a little curious with the whole big dramatic moment in the end where the 3 mothers, the great mothers, literally imbue Morgan with their power, and she becomes the full-blooded Night Sister, wields the blade of Talzin. Did you get any sort of a background information on that to kind of help flesh out the story? We're really curious why they basically had her do that. Like, if they were these all-powerful witches,
great.
Why did they just lay their enemies to waste? Like, did you get any? We'd love inside information.
That is a great question.
Look at you, Ashley.
I think because it was evident that she is such a warrior that it made sense to let her be the vessel to go up against Ahsoka. This is the way I think I was interpreting it in my head, because Ahsoka still has the Force, right? And so I don't see the Great Mothers being able necessarily to be able to go up against Ahsoka just exclusively with their powers. I think they would have needed, particularly because, even though everybody's Force sensitive or with the Force or whatever, I think personally they needed to definitely utilize Morgan in this way, because she was a skilled warrior, and they're going to put their best foot forward by using her. Thrawn's pawn. There you go. I love that.
We did talk about that, like basically making her a vessel for their will,
Lars would get a kick out of that. Lars and I have this joke. He's the blue dude.
That's great. Absolutely. Mm.
Oh, but
So what was it like working with him? I mean, he was such a fabulous character in the books and then in Rebels, and to be able to carry that voice through to
Oh my
live
god, I
action.
lost my mind when they announced that
oh
you
my
would be in Ahsoka and Lars would be in Ahsoka. It felt like everybody was
Well, I'm
just
so
coming out.
familiar with Lars's work, just from House of Cards, and he's done other work.
Yes.
He's a
Mhm.
brilliant actor, and I loved working with Lars. And he's such a gentleman, and his talent is incredible. Just
Mm.
like Ray Stevenson, they were both these
Oh, great.
amazing powerhouses of creativity and acting and finding the moments. So it makes
Mm.
my job easier as an actress to be in the moment. And so it was incredible. Yet they had this incredible, both of them had this amazing sense of humor. That's why it was lovely when Yvonne and we all hung out, especially again, this is pandemic time. So
Mm.
we were becoming more and more like a family on the set because you're
Right.
there for hours
Sure.
and hours. And I loved that we called ourselves the Bond of the Baddies.
Yes.
Yeah. And
What was it like filming with Ray as well? I know the late great Ray Stevenson who played Balin Skoll.
yeah.
You guys, you three, Shin, Balin, and Morgan, they had a true purpose to get to Peridia.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
It was it is such an honor. It was an honor. It is an honor to have known Ray, his spirit. And he's such a relaxed human being with a great sense of humor, but it's like having the perfect dance partner. That's I mean, that's the way I can only put it, is it's the perfect dance partner. And you can discover things in the moment, like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can do this in this scene, because you get little choices. You get to explore like other things because they might need that in editing, or Dave might go, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that would work. And again, you're working with the other directors, right? Who are assigned different episodes. But yeah, Ray really was a ray of light, which I'm so proud, because now they have a film fest. It's called the Ray of Light Awards Festival that he had envisioned, and it's in Ibiza, Spain. And his family, his community got this kicked off this year off the ground.
Wonderful.
And it's all about putting out their documentaries, films, music, and putting out tech information to help amplify and contribute to a better humanity, and give voice to the creatives to be able to show their work and inspire people. And that's what Ray was about. Speaks on a deep level to his commitment at the time when he was here on our earth to really just do great work. And so that definitely I felt baptized in that kind of creative spirit, and yeah.
How remarkable.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing with us about that, to make sure that people have it, to go look for it, to be a part of. I mean, what a wonderful blessing for his memory.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So, and I'm so glad to all the fans that Ray, while he was alive, was able to experience in London Star Wars Celebration, because both he and Lars, had forgotten, that had worked on the animation. But you got to remember, when you do animation, sometimes they allow you to record somewhere else, so you're not feeling the full connections of seeing other people and being on a set. And even when we were on a set, I don't think they really translated what the Star Wars fan world was like until they were at Celebration. Then they both were just like absolutely blown away by
It's a lot, huh?
I was as a little girl, how I described at the beginning of this interview with you guys, what it was like to experience Star Wars for the first time and being it's the same thing. They had never, ever, ever experienced that ever until they were at Star Wars Celebration. And it was such a joy, and they were absolutely overwhelmed by the love and accolades for their work in this,
I'm so glad.
Yeah, and I'm glad Ray got to experience that before he passed away.
He deserved it. His character is just revered in our community. It was stunning. Yeah,
it really was very special. So yeah, so thank you to your fans that were there in London that just did that for Ray.
Yay!
Spencer was there and was like sending me texts like, "Oh, Diana's on stage," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" It's like 5 a.m. here, and I'm like losing my mind.
Secret. It was so hard.
And then
I can't
he's
imagine.
like, Lars is through. And I was like, yes, I got my wish. Like, I was so excited that you guys were back for this.
Me too. I wished Iman could have been there, because let me tell you something that people probably don't know out there is when you're part of the Star Wars universe or the Lucasfilm universe, I have found in my experience that it's almost like this special family, or maybe it could be like a university. And so when you're in, so like I've now become, dear friends with Almeid, who plays Dr. Pershing. He was from Mandalorian, right? And we don't have a scene together, but we're kind of Nelson, who plays Senator Zun. You got Emily, and it's an amazing kind of almost like an alumni that you are part of. When I was in London, I was meeting Denise, and I met later on Elizabeth and James, who did Andor, and there's just this incredible connection, Andy Serkis, and I love these people. I just love all these people, and I celebrate their work, and that's the gift that I feel that Lucasfilm has given all of us, I call it the Ohana connection, just because my family is from Hawaii. My grandmother was. And so I always refer to them as my Ohana. So, yeah.
Oh, that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
We're going to take some fan questions because we have some for you.
All right, great.
So Dave from North Carolina, our buddy Dave Filoni, his cosplay is on point for Dave Filoni, so we call him that. He says, you have played Morgan in live action and animation at this point. Which is the most fun or the most difficult to do?
Oh, okay. Great question. So I would say the live action obviously is going to be physically more difficult, just because when you're called to do a fight scene, it can take a lot out of you, However, I would say both of them are uniquely joyful, but they're just two approaches. But as an actress, I still have to do the same kind of work. But I loved working with the Lucasfilm animation team. In fact, I had the joy of being able to be invited to Skywalker Ranch and to visit Lucasfilm team up in the San Francisco area, and sit and watch the Tales of the Empire with the entire Lucasfilm animation team. And it was such a joy, because I learned all the different ways they had to work together and put this together. And yeah, that's what made it really joyful, is when you're sitting there with your team watching the whole execution of how they did Tales of the Empire. And
how exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Gosh, it really just blew my mind away. And it's fun. Like, I was with Wing when we were in together doing the voices for our characters, with Dave on the screen, and be able to explore the different choices that we could make. But yeah, they're equally wonderful, and it's really more for me the education I get every time I'm doing these different approaches to delivering, whether it's animation or live action. So I hope that helps.
Great, yeah.
All right, Alan from Wyoming. From what I have read, I believe you are a practitioner of a number of martial arts. What is your favorite, or one of your favorites, and why?
Oh, yes. So you have to remember, when my godfather was alive back in the 60s, he was breaking new ground, and my dad was his partner. They used to run the Chinatown School, but they were all about bringing people together culturally. But at the same time, they were also about crossing the aisle of getting to know other martial artists with different systems and styles. So I was very blessed that I learned a buffet of different martial arts systems and styles, whether it was Japanese, Thai, Korean, Chinese, French savate, Brazilian and capoeira. They were back in the 60s already talking about this, researching this, and that wasn't even on anybody's radar at that time. And so for me, growing up, I had different stages. And of course, I started off primarily with Chinese martial arts. So, and the philosophy of Jeet Kune Do, or JKD is the acronym. And that is really a philosophy of being able to bring in elements of different martial arts and what is best for you and utilize it. But it was always kind of based in Chinese martial arts. And then later on, I would move into doing Muay Thai or Thai boxing from Thailand, Indonesian martial arts like Pencak Silat. I'm definitely a Filipino martial arts practitioner. And my dad always said, I want you to know your roots and your culture. And so that really helped me immensely in understanding weaponry and how I can apply it to different presentations of martial arts styles. Because maybe Japanese, if again, I'm going to demonstrate this, do a demonstration like Kurosawa, right? Very like kendo, and understanding weaponry and snapping it, right? Whereas you look at Chinese martial arts, particularly like something like wushu, it's very fluid, very flowery, right? But the Filipino martial arts helped me understand lines of attack, and it's kind of like a blend of both. And so it was very easy for me, even particularly in my years as a stunt woman when I was younger, like when I worked on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, doubling from Sarah. Any stunt coordinator or choreographer could say, I like this style or this system, and I could just give it to them. And thank you, because the way my father taught me, and I kind of just flow into any kind of style. And so really, and let me explain something. All martial arts have the same lines of attack and approaches, right? Muay Thai, it might be elbow, right? And they have this kind of squared off way of looking good, but it's really more the presentation that makes each style and system unique, if that makes
interesting. Yeah. Okay.
French savate. Most people don't know that the French have a beautiful kickboxing system, which my godfather loved. So if you look at the front leg, it has almost like a ballet kind of feel to it. And that's because French savate in roots comes from ballet.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, a lot of history, quick history lessons. So I like it all. It's hard to say,
But it's really fascinating that you've gotten your bits and pieces from everything, and he's allowed you to be well versed in everything, so it allows you that flexibility to be whatever a role calls for. Ultimately, that's phenomenal.
And that at heart was my godfather's teaching, Jeet Kune Do. The philosophy is that you empty your cup and you absorb what is useful. And so with that philosophy, it helped me immensely as a martial arts practitioner. That's why when people say, "Oh, we only do this style," that's not. I'm like, "Oh, you're missing opportunities when you don't open your mind. That every culture has something to give." My dad has known African martial artists. In fact, my dad, one of his main positions in life as a renowned martial artist was to make sure to help introduce different martial arts styles and systems and show that culturally everybody has something to offer.
I've definitely read that about your dad, and I always thought it was like, it's fascinating and it's groundbreaking to me because it's something that him and Bruce both pushed out into the world, and I think people were very closed off until that time. So.
And let me tell you one other historical note that I wish would get out there more. My godfather, like one of the bases of his martial arts was Wing Chun. Well, a lot of people don't know it, and yet it has a lot of its practitioners are men. But Wing Chun was a woman. She was a nun out of China.
No way.
And so one of the things when my godfather came back, even though he was born in San Francisco, he was raised in Hong Kong. When he came back, he really felt it was important that women have access to martial arts. So later on, he said to my dad, I believe women should have a seat at the table of learning martial arts. So he set up a group for women martial arts. My dad was the primary helper to my godfather to help prep women to train in martial arts. It's just such a shame that my godfather died because he never met some of the women that were training under my dad, because that was my dad's, one of his main positions and roles was to train or to vet people that would be responsible at the martial arts, teach them the beginnings of the martial, and then as they advanced, they would go on to my godfather.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I love that. I did know that was one of the main arguments my father used to get his friend to start opening his academy to both women and children. That was that same argument.
That was a martial.
His friend, that he actually said that he's like, if Bruce Lee is okay with this, sir, why aren't you?
Yeah, no.
My dad, my brother was one of their first students
That's
was a
incredible.
child
What's
as
the
an
STEM?
adult. So
What's the STEM or style?
my father followed judo. We did
Judo. Yeah.
taekwondo,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
my sons did jujitsu. So
And
we've kind of
jujitsu.
all
Yeah.
done, little
Yeah.
bits and pieces of it. So
Absolutely. Yay. All right, Dad.
okay.
Our next question is Clark from Kansas. How does lightsaber combat differ from eskrima stick fighting?
Oh, well, what is more a fantasy weapon that you use in, that's presented in a galaxy far, far away. But honestly, it's not that different. It's the same still approach. It's the same lines. It's just, again, the presentation, the taste of how you want to, present, the kind of fighting style. But it's the same thing, it's just the weapon itself is different. In fact, yeah. So in the fantasy of doing martial arts, the lightsaber, right? It's this light, right? That can materialize for the moment, I guess, as you clash. But honestly, in real life, when you're on a set, it feels like a stick to me. It feels like a weapon to me, So yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
That's so cool. Bruce from New Jersey. I am a big action figure collector. What was your reaction the first time you saw yourself as a figure? I would have lost it.
It was wild. And Dave had asked me, and I'm like, because I'm thinking like, whereas normally, but I mean, I saw the Lego presentation, then I saw the Funko before that, the Black Series, and then oh God, the Kinmore, and it is mind blowing to see Lego. I'm like, I grew up on Legos. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I think that's when you know you really made
I'm
it.
a minifig.
Pedro, same thing. I've got a minifig. It's me.
It's wild. And now they've come out with a new, I don't know if it's hit the stores yet, a new Morgan Elsbeth with the tattoos,
Oh
that
boy.
represent Tales of the Empire. I'm not sure if it's a Tales of the Empire or if it's the ending of Soak. I can't remember, but I see. I got it. I need the box. I need that Funko Pop. But anyway, yeah. So there's going to be now 2 Funko Pops of Morgan Elsbeth, and that just blows my mind away.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
I'm holding out hope that Hot Toys does a Morgan Elsbeth figure because they did one for Shin, they did one for Rey.
Yeah.
Ron, she needs one.
In order for that to happen, you gotta write in. That's what I was really
I'll harass her.
And when I'm Morgan yet, I think people had to write and say, hey, because I don't know if they know if that's, I don't know. They, every toy or every action figure manufacturer probably has their own reasons why. But if people write and say, we love to see it, it will make a world of difference for sure.
Okay, good to know.
David L. from North Carolina. What is your favorite Star Wars species?
Ooh. Oh my gosh. That's hard because I like everybody. I love every species. When I was a girl, I loved Chewbacca and his people. Then I loved Ewoks, and then later on, I fell in love. Maybe it's because I just thought Yoda was so philosophical. I love, the species that Yoda, and I don't know what their names are. Sorry, but
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Okay.
No,
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Yeah,
he won't tell us.
love Yoda.
Okay.
Really Yoda. So yeah. So there you have it.
Love it.
Steve from Virginia. What stunt did you do that you would like the fans to know about?
Oh,
What's one of your favorite stunts that you've done?
Stunts. Well, acting wise, of course, there's the fight scenes I've done, but I think he's referencing before I ever got picked up for Star Wars. In my younger years, I did some hairy stuff on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and one of them, ironically enough, it was the presentation because I had to do a high fall where I'm being tackled off this beam or this high two-story stage, and I had to go break through the wall, and I felt so Hong Kong stunts,
Right.
And I'm thinking my forte is fighting, and I got to do all this hairy stuff. That one, but that one's floating around because it has on YouTube because it has a different Willow. Just look at the presentation of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Completely different actress they were exploring to play Willow. And for whatever reason, they didn't go with her. But I saw that was floating around. You can see the final fight scene where Buffy's going up against these vampires in the theater of the school. But I mean, I done some stunts that I never thought I was doing, like when I was stunt driving with a team of people for Face Off with Nicolas Cage and John Travolta.
Wow.
That was
Really?
a John Woo movie, and we're all like chasing this plane that crashes into this hangar, and I'm like, and I remember we're all having to kind of collectively stage our cars in a certain way as we're chasing that. And then there's all of a sudden they go, okay, and action. And then there's a helicopter, there's several helicopters. I'm like, this is crazy. And I'm getting paid for this. And it was amazing. So
Wow.
I loved Face Off, but I've done some other things. I used to work on Walker, Texas Ranger, and Chuck Norris used to have me come in and double for his leading ladies, and then there was some other, I'm trying to think of all the different projects, it's been so long, but yeah, those are the ones that come to mind.
That's fantastic. Okay.
Juan from Colorado. How many hours a day do you train your martial arts, and do you focus on form or function? Do either of your sons ever join you in training?
No, I wish they did. Well, my youngest son is now starting. His dad is working out. It's kind of like riding a bike. So I don't get to always train it like the way I do. The one thing that I'm wanting to explore with my husband now is getting back to flexible weapons like the whip. I know that sounds crazy. Like you're like, the whip? Weapon?
It's not that kind of show, Diana. Come on.
Yeah, right. But hey, Indiana Jones uses a whip.
That's right.
He does.
Catwoman.
Question, form or function? I would always say first, function is important. But form is important. But, from a practical standpoint, if you are ever attacked, it's not like you're going to look beautiful when you're in the moment. It's really what is functional, whether whether it's the stand-up game or whether you go to the ground. So I would definitely say function first, but I still swing a stick. I still do different techniques for disabling and a weapon, whatever I can, and then of course I do work out. I do think it's important to always work out your body. It's the only temple we have in life. We got to take care of it.
Yeah. Motion is lotion. Keep
yes. and medicine to the body.
Yes.
So. Sure. John from Florida, your introduction to Star Wars in Chapter 13, The Jedi, you shot with legends like Michael Biehn and Rosario. What was that like?
Oh, an honor. I love Michael Biehn. He's sci-fi royalty. Come on, Terminator, right? And oh my gosh, he did Tombstone. So it was a real joy getting to know Michael and to be able to be trapped with him up on that one stage, right? And we talked for hours, and I loved hearing about his journey in the Hollywood system and his time working with James Cameron, which was a real education. That's what I love, is the chance to meet these people and understand their journey and what they've learned and their struggles. And that was a gift. And of course, Rosario, oh my God, she's like again, Ohana's sister. She is fun, humorous, yet there is a spiritual component to this woman. She cares about people. She cares about our world. She wants to do everything she can as a human being to make the world a better place. And it's just a tremendous honor. Her journey came from very humble roots, and for her to evolve and be in the position she is in Hollywood is incredible. It's inspiring to everybody. And so, that's my blessing, that I get to experience her energy and her spirit. And yeah, it's a cool thing.
Wonderful.
And of course, Spencer from Boston. What was your first impression of Grogu? Did you get to see the Grogu puppet?
Oh, yes, I did. It's so funny. So yes and no. So there's Grogu, and then, CGI Grogu. There's Grogu, the puppeteering, and then there's Grogu. I call it the stand-in. So I worked with Grogu, the stand-in, and with Brendan. So Grogu is the coolest, man. And he also, I'm sure everybody in the world was calling him Baby Yoda all the way up until the time of my episode where they said, oh, he's got a name, Grogu. And I'm like, that's great. but I have a name too. This is awesome. It was kind of, it was all about a theme of names. Grogu, then I found out about Morgan, and then everybody heard Thrawn, that Thrawn's coming to town,
Oh,
so
that was quite the name drop.
yeah, that was such the name drop. Wow.
We were shouting in my house. I
Yeah.
also have a very clear memory of watching that episode
Everybody was shouting,
with
right?
my boys and my husband.
For Thrawn, oh my god! Like
I lost my mind.
I know. It's
I
so
lost
funny
it.
for me as a joy because I do. I like watching these podcasts where people watch an episode and see their reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it because everybody's like, and then they say Thrawn. He's like, they're like, yeah, that's what I love. She's body positioning where everybody.
Like, the show was on at 3 a.m. during that time because this is when they were airing them at midnight Pacific, and it's 3 a.m. here on the East Coast. Right. And I'm just like, wow, this was totally worth waking up. Yeah. So early for it.
Priceless to see everybody's reaction when Rosario's or Ahsoka says, "Where's Thrawn?" Amazing, yeah,
so good.
I was like, oh, I want to know more about that. Like, I really want to know more about that. Tell me now.
Yeah. Especially you've been reading Timothy Zahn's books and then watching, Rebels.
We're such big Rebels fans. I was like, we're finally gonna get an answer. Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's incredible. I should. Where are I?
Hello.
Ah.
We were hoping you could talk to us a little bit about your appearance coming up later this summer.
Oh, yes. I can't wait. I'm going back to Texas.
Woohoo!
Yes, I can't wait. I'm excited. It's been a while because when I used to go to Texas, it was primarily for working on Walker, Texas. Right? This is amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
I used to watch that show every Saturday night with my dad. So
did you?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's so cool that you are joining the VCN family at Boonta Eve. We really appreciate you being there. Tickets are still available at virtualcantinanetwork.com. You can come out, meet Diana.
Tell her your Star Wars story.
Yes.
Have an opportunity to hang out with the family. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's brought to you by VIP Home Theaters. They are our primary sponsor for this, and bringing Diana out and everybody else. So many people who you have to meet, you guys. As you can tell, Diana's lovely in person. It'd be so worth going. So make sure you guys get your tickets and go down there. It's at Rebel Scum Con, August 8th through 10th, 2025 at the Frisco Conference Center in Frisco, Texas. You can get your tickets at rebelscumconventions.com.
Woohoo!
I'm so excited. I hate that I won't be there personally for this because I'm doing Fan Expo Boston.
She's working.
I'm an artist, so I will be there for that.
I get it.
I will be there in spirits. I hope you come back this way. For Rhode Island Comic Con, it would be lovely.
I can't wait. I am looking forward. This is the one thing I do love about this journey is I get to travel to a lot of places and meet the fans, because normally that was a world reserved mainly for musicians. So it's lovely now that we're living in a time where actors, especially if they belong to a certain franchise, get to meet their fans and just talk everything. In my case, Star Wars. So I love it.
We're so grateful for it. It's just, I keep telling my kids, they're pretty much sick of me saying this, but I'm like, you are so lucky. Nothing like this existed when I was growing up. It's just
right.
It's a wonderful new nerd-filled world where we get to get out and be our favorite people.
Yeah. When I had to hide that I was a nerd, now it's like, yeah, I'm a nerd. So
yes, exactly. Proud of it. And there's almost 100,000 of us.
And I feel like as a woman, this is more important than ever, because in the 70s when Star Wars first came out, you had Mon Mothma, you had Leia, and that random girl on Hoth. That's all you had for women of the galaxy. And in that time frame, it has exploded. And you and Rosario and Katie and
Ivana.
Yeah,
we get these incredible women characters
have been added to it since then.
Yeah, no, it's really a magical time. I love it. So
it's why we can do this show, because of you and the rest of the strong female and femme characters,
and the writers and the producers and the directors that are making all these things possible. And we're so honored that you chose to come talk to us about your wonderful life in
the galaxy. That is such a great title. I love it.
Thank you.
All right, daughters of the galaxy. I hope all of you are enjoying some time with your fathers too, because it's Father's Day today.
Yes. Happy Father's Day to
Yes.
all the dads.
All the dads of the world out there.
The dads. So, all right. Well, everybody, it's been an honor to be here. And
Thank you for the privilege. We appreciate it.
You know, I can't wait.
Absolutely. We hope to see you soon.
All right.
Thank you,
Take care,
guys.
May the force be with you.
Ashley. All right. Tell Spencer I said bye.
We will. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.